when my mom was in hospice, the uh the hospice care was like they only work 8 hour shifts. So like there's three nurses that go through the night. And the second nurse was like, yo, we don't have anybody coming in for the third shift, and I can't stay overtime because we are not allowed to work that. And to be able to call a private nursing company and be like, I don't care how much it costs, just send someone. And they can actually send someone and you can stroke a check without even thinking about the money because it's the right thing to do for your family. That's why I built the team.
Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency.
I have a few questions for you, and I want to breeze through them because I think your answer is so needed on them. You said it sucks because it does. What did you do when it sucked? Like people go, oh man, the top guys never think about quitting. I'm like, dude, I think about quitting every day, right? But like, what do we do? Like, what do you do when that thought comes in? Like, how do you progress with that?
It's a phenomenal question. There's two ways I can answer it. So when I really was frustrated, I would think, what is my life if I don't make this work, right? I'm not going back to the software company. I was like, there's Van Chevrolet has been sending me emails forever up in North Scottsdale. I was like, I go sell cars. I'm for sure I could sell cars. Like I could figure that out. But like, look at like what is your option if you don't make this work, right? And so for a big part of me, and this is just, this is part of my stories. I started this business with three kids, and as we progressed, we had another one because my wife's the best salesman in the house. So we have four children. But like I have a heavy responsibility, right? And I think that being totally transparent to this group, I was very reckless early in my life. Like I just was cavalier. I had a great time. I was the life of the party. I was always out doing stuff. I was not a slug, but I wasn't making money. I wasn't like creating any value for myself or the world. I was just living. And that was a very selfish way to live. And so for me now, when I'm in this business, I'm completely selfless. How can I serve my staff? How can I serve my business? How can I serve the team? How can I serve the new agents? But more so, how can I serve my family? And I think that becomes a very real thing that some people need to face is like, I'm living for me. If I don't get to go to happy hour with the girls on Thursday, like I ain't doing this business. Like I've got priorities. I must golf every Friday. Like, okay, you and your stressful life living in the suburbs, you've got to golf every Thursday, every Friday. What I mean? And I joke because like when it got hard, when I got this sucks, I go, I need to think of my family because that is the most important thing, right? My legacy or how my children are seeing me or any video. Like I think in some weird world, my daughter Vivian will watch this training in 37 years and go, my dad was cool, like my dad worked hard and tried hard for us. And that to me is like a deep, deep thought because yeah, we live in this massively crazy digital age where now, granted, there's a lot of Grady trainings out there. Hope you don't find. I mean, this is a good one. I love you, but what I'm trying to answer is like when it got hard, I had to think about what mattered. And that's why if you don't have something that matters to you other than just your apartment and play and paying your cell phone bill and your lease on your Honda Accord, like you got to get some shit that you're passionate about that you need that are going to wake you up and get you up at 5 in the morning to get your mind right and then be able to attack the phone 7:30, 7:45 because your future and who you're doing this for is bigger than you. Because early on, I was all about me, just my good time, sleep in till whenever, do whatever. But once I got married and was like, this is actually the real, like it's like that Wiz Khalifa quote. When I learned that the real gangster shit is not staying up late, it's getting up early. Like like your real life begins when you have something that you get to work for every day. And for me, that's my family. And so that's one aspect of it. I would just go, okay, they got to eat, dance is expensive. We got to figure that, get on the phones, keep moving. That was a very like core thought. Now a second thing is when you're in the business, a big component of it is like you're going to have down days. And my down days in the field, I would then revert it and I'd go, I believe in the company, I believe in the opportunity, and I would get on the phone, I'd call recruits. And I might, and you know what's, hey, we've got top comps, great leads, free training, all these aspects, wherever you're at right now, it doesn't sound like what you've sold. Last week, I sold 7. Last month, I did 21. Today, this morning, I only wrote a small one and made 550. I'm on my 6th appointment, getting one of those days. But if, and I'm selling myself to recruits. And so, but then when my recruiting was a mess and I was like, couldn't get anyone started and the team's not selling. And why am I always number one on a leaderboard? Because am I the only one with kids, right? I think you get all these things in your head. I would go sell and I wouldn't focus on the team. And I would just have these two levers that I was always trying to advance. And that for you guys is like, as you progress, don't hold back on building if you love this, right? If you don't love this yet, then don't bring anyone in it, right? They say don't, children don't fix a broken marriage, right? If you and your spouse aren't getting along, don't bring a baby into it, right? Fix you guys and then bring a baby into it. Like, so make some sales, go, oh my God, I love this business. I made $1,700 yesterday. Hey, John, you're not going to believe what just happened. My buddy Steven told me about this new opportunity. I didn't believe it, but I've been testing. I got my license, life insurance license. It took me like a week or two. I made a sale yesterday with these leads they have, and I made like $1,700. It may or may not be for you, but you got to have a conversation with my buddy Steven, and he'll tell you about it, or check out this video. It does a good job overview if you're interested. And make that a daily goal too, to introduce. And you've got these two things you're working. So when it's tough, dig into your heart why you started in the first place and who you made the decision to embark on all this pain for, because it can't be you. It can't be you because you've let yourself down the majority of your life. That's why you're 41, or in my case, I was 34 and had no money. And I had my software company and I was trying, but I hadn't found results. But once I found the thing and I could go all in on it, Stephen, that's where life changed for me. I found the thing. And for me, it was insurance. I hope it's insurance for you. If it's not, then I hope you find your thing. But find your thing and just don't let it go.
I love it. You were talking about the two levers, and that was going to be my next question, is the two muscles that we build. So many people in this business, they sell, 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 sell. They never actually try to recruit a team or build a team or whatever it is. I was actually having a conversation with my wife on the way to church last night, and she was like, recruiting is way easier than selling. I was like, that is absolutely false and not even anywhere close to true. Because here's proof: the amount of people that we have that are Hall of Fame producers that have no teams. If selling was easy or was harder, then it would be the exact opposite, because building would be easier. It's actually the exact opposite. Selling is way easier than building a team. When you
So
talked
much
about,
easier.
you talked about exercising both of those muscles. The question that I get often, I mean, you got it too. Like, people go, how did you do both at the same time? And I'm like literally scratching my head, like, what do you mean? Like, it never even came across my mind to even answer that question. But like, I like the way you said it, right? Like, selling is one muscle, you know, building is the other. You got to work on both arms, not just one. Can you kind of talk about that? Because I think people lose that aspect. The number one, I was supposed to do this at conference and I freaking forgot. I've asked so many people this. I go, Grady, if you had a regret in this business, what would it be? Every person I've talked to is, I wish I would have recruited day one.
Yeah.
Everyone, everyone. And I'm like, so the people that are here for day one, I'm like, look, man, all of us say the same thing. Like, don't be one of us later on, 3 months from now. Just start now, right? So can you kind of talk about working both those muscles, selling and building at the
Yeah.
same time?
Yeah. So the reality though is like if you've come from making 42 grand a year and you've never had money and you have a $7,000 deposit and a week, you're like, your hair blows up, right? You're like everything your belief system on the way the world is designed all of a sudden gets shattered because you're like, I've never seen this. I don't know anyone that makes this level. Then you do it again the next week, and then you do it again the next week, and then you have a $30,000 month, and you go, I can't even breathe to think about this new life I'm building. I don't want to screw it up. And so a lot of people just start selling and they go at it because a lot of it is just words. It's regurgitating, it's investment in leads, right? You're at $1 million a year, you're spending 150 grand in leads. But, EBITDA, 850. cost of business. The guy in the chicken suit spinning the sign out front, he costs money too, right? The flyers I had to drop, the radio ads I had to run. And I never owned a restaurant. I just know the ways to market and business. But these are the things that that a restaurant would spend their money on to get customers in the door. And so when you think about that understanding of selling and building that, you're so like focused on you, feeding you, feeding you. But you have to have the understanding. And I tell this story. My wife's brother is her other brother, Gabe. Great guy, used to sell a bunch of
Honor
this.
Gabe.
Now he has a
Yeah.
baby, sells less with us. But he early in our business, second years, 30, 40K producer. He lived in the Bay and was riding one of those bird scooters, those little things that you take around between restaurants and stuff in the Bay. He crashed it somehow and almost ripped his pinky off. Like, of all the weird things to do. And like he had I really bad. I think in your head you're like, I have 10 fingers, I'd like to keep 10 fingers. Right? You're going through some mental turmoil. He kind of got in his head about it. He had a bunch of surgeries he had to get. They were about to amputate like this part of his hand and just like some stuff going on. Well, when you're the only producer for your business and you don't sell for 3, 4 weeks, your business doesn't make any money. And guess what happens in your business? Sometimes there's some returns, right? And so you're now all of a sudden you're in this place where you're going, I'm this high producer, I've been living this great life, I'm making all this money, and now I'm not making money, I'm mentally a mess, and I have negative chargebacks piling up as I'm progressing because I've sold hundreds of policies. And just part of the business is, one of the most profitable things we'll talk about if we have another minute here before we wrap it up is IULs. But like, when you're selling a mortgage and whole life, there's attrition. Dolores gets called by someone else. He says he's his manager and sells them a policy that's $1 cheaper. And you didn't do a good job tying it down, sending the metal safe or sending the flowers, and they take the dollar cheaper instead of sticking with you and you get a chargeback. Welcome to business if you don't do it right. And so Gabe gets all stressed out. Long story short, digs his way out. Well, that's the reality I want you guys all to think. If you're only a producer, you are you're the cashier at Chipotle. You make money when people come in, right? You make money when you sell insurance, but your goal is to be the owner of hundreds of Chipotles. And I must be hungry right now, so I'm talking about Chipotle. But that's the concept that I need you guys to think about is when you have a team and you've gone out and learned and fall in love with this business and plugged them into our health ecosystem that they get to learn from all these different people, how to sell, mindset, building tips, lead flow, all these things. And this is a higher level call. I'm not teaching you how to overcome objections, right? You want to learn how to overcome objections. A lot of incredible people how to overcome objections. I'm teaching you how to win in business. That's what the goal of this call is. I hope you're getting some value from this. And so, but if you don't put yourself in a position where you can bring on a few people who then could bring on a few people, you now are only capitalizing on the one aspect. And you can only work 24 hours as a cashier at Chipotle. You can only sell so much. There's kind of a ceiling on production. Not that it's wrong. People making 1 million, 2 million selling, God bless them. Incredible business, incredible amount of money. But God forbid something happens to you. God forbid something happens to your family and you need to step away from the business to go spend time with them. God forbid something, knock on every piece of wood. God forbid one of my children gets sick and I've got to go live at the hospital while they're recovering. Oh my, I could cry right now, right? But if I hadn't built a business where I gave everything from myself to my clients to take care of them, to make enough money, to then take everything else I had and give to my team to teach them what I'd learned and be there for them to answer questions and be a strong voice, I wouldn't have 1,000 agents today. And it's not on me. I've got the most incredible leadership, incredible friends, incredible business that's been created through but someone had to start it, right? And I'm the most humble guy you'll ever run across, but I'm just so grateful that that's happened. So I challenge you to think bigger, right? That's part of it. I don't mentor. He used to tell me about taxes when you're like a millionaire. And I'm like, Mark, I'm only making 42 grand a year with this stupid software company. And, it wasn't stupid. It was fine. But like, what do I need to know about taxes when you're a millionaire? Like, you need to learn about your future. You learn about what you want. Like, how are you going to design your life down the road when you are there. Because if you're not planning on getting there, you're never going to get there. So for you all, do you want to have $1 million a year business? Do you want to have do you want to hit VP? Do you want to earn a VP bonuses? And my direct answer should be yes, because that's how you protect yourself. And the ones that you started this business for in the first place, your family, or the people that are most important to you, are the ones that you're going to protect and insulate. It's like having life insurance. Building your business and recruiting a team is like life insurance in this business. Now, granted, if I don't like the worst thing, Chantel's like, we got a lot of life insurance on me. She's like, the worst thing is if you die or you get really hurt and you don't die. I'm like, well, we got that living benefits, baby. But at the same standpoint, like if you don't have a business that's paying you money, then you're one accident away from not being able to provide for your family. And that's where the true long-term value, above and beyond why you should do it and how great it is and the money and all that stuff, it's great protectionary measures, right? My initial goal was to get one override so to help offset my lead cost, then cover my lead cost, then cover my staff cost. Then, like, holy cow, we're making a few grand over here in overrides. I'm never stop selling. And you just start to be a good steward of your company and your business, and you can build something. And so that's really the most like important essence that I want to get across to you is build to protect yourself.
Great. It's so crazy you say that, man, because a lot of people on this call don't know, like, the earlier guys that have been here long enough to know, but um, in 2021, when I moved to Vegas, um, I moved here because I was like, all right, man, I'm gonna sell my business to Integrity and I'm gonna save money with state income tax because California state income tax sucks. And literally 2 weeks after we moved here, my mom is diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I remember because we're at the LA Dream Center, and that's when we found out her kidneys were failing. We didn't know anything else. I flew down there for the event, went back home because my wife was pregnant at the time, and then realized that my mom was staying long term in the hospital. So I bought a one way ticket. It's different when you buy a one way ticket because you don't need to go back if you don't need to. And bought a one way ticket to Burbank because that's where she was. We stayed in the hospital with her for 21 days straight. She was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer after that, and we were able to move her into proper care, do all that stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't imagine, I'm an only child. I can't imagine going, Mom, I can't go to your oncology appointments or any of your doctor's appointments because I got to go run appointments in Bakersfield. And like that year, I'm just being honest. I didn't work from April till December when she had passed away, and we buried her late December. We didn't work in that business. We didn't show up to do much because I was taking care of my family.
Yeah.
And what was so crazy is I was lucky to be on the side where we actually did it the right way and that we never had to worry about a bill. Matter of fact, my wife was back home in Vegas trying to close on our property that was being built. And like we didn't have to worry about it because the first 2 years when we didn't think it could possibly happen to us, we actually built a team. And so like what Sean taught, us great early on is it's not even what if it happens to you. He said something to me that stuck out. He said, "You're one family emergency away from being financially devastated." Everybody on this call, especially if you don't have a team, you are you are one family emergency away from being financially devastated. And to be able to go like, I mean, I share the story because like my wife was there when my mom was in hospice. The uh, the hospice care was like they only work 8 hour shifts, so like there's three nurses that go through the night. And the second nurse was like, yo, we don't have anybody coming in for the third shift, and I can't stay overtime because we are not allowed to work that. And to be able to call a private nursing company and be like, I don't care how much it costs, just send someone. And they can actually send someone and you can stroke a check without even thinking about the money because it's the right thing to do for your family. That's why I built the team. And I want to share that with you guys because nobody wishes to be in that position, but it happens. We're in life insurance. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Grady, as we wrap up, like I share this with everybody, like we we've all sold a lot of insurance. Me, you, Alondra, Josh, Hayden, Nina, everybody, Andrew, everybody, Zach, everybody. We've all shared a lot, we sold a lot of insurance. But the one type of aspect in this business that we made more than anything else was the overrides. And that's the reason why I gently wish all of you guys, like Grady's topic is make more money in 2025. That's the best way for you to do it.